As we all know, Huawei has opened most of the equity to employees and has formed a wolf culture incentive mechanism in a subtle way. For many years, the high salaries of Huawei employees have made many people very envious. However, recently, Huawei has carried out self-criticism under the Blue Army mechanism, saying, excessively high salaries have raised a group of idlers. Well, what is the Blue Army mechanism? Will excessively high salaries really ruin Huawei? What about Huawei's heavily funded Genius Boy program? Is it also useless? Okay, that and more is exactly what we are going to talk about. Let's get started. For a long time, technology giants have relied on high salary in the fierce talent war. And Huawei's high salary is an important killer card for Huawei when it competes for talents. As early as 2017, Huawei spent a lot of money in recruiting outstanding talents in Japan, and offered a monthly salary of 400,000 yen to undergraduates, gaining an overwhelming advantage in the talent competition with local employer Sony. In 2019, Huawei stated that it will recruit 30 talented teenagers from all over the world to strengthen Huawei's team. Among the 8 recruited employees with doctoral degrees, the annual salary reached 1.82 million to 2.01 million yuan. Huawei's high salary has always been recognized by everyone, which is mainly reflected in 2 aspects. On the one hand, as a private enterprise, Huawei can cope with fierce competition in the domestic and international markets, and realize the huge self-worth of Chinese brands. On the other hand, as a high-tech company, Huawei continues to promote industrial upgrading through high investment in research and development every year. According to Huawei's third quarterly report for 2022, Huawei's research and development expenses in the first 3 quarters reached 110.581 billion yuan, an increase of 8.241 billion yuan compared with 102.340 billion yuan in the same period last year. Since Huawei's salary has been well received for a long time, why does Huawei criticize itself for excessively high salary? First of all, we have to mention the self-criticism that Huawei emphasizes. For a long time, self-criticism has become one of the internal driving forces for Huawei to surpass its competitors, and the Blue Army mechanism is one of the important means. The main task of the Blue Army is to simulate various confrontational voices, simulate various possible signals, and even raise some alarmist warnings. In short, the Blue Army are here to criticize and say bad things, not to cater to everyone. In recent years, many other companies have also begun to establish Blue Army mechanisms. For example, IBM continues to use the Blue Forces outsider persona to challenge traditional assumptions to offer alternative solutions. eBay built Blue Forces to mimic hackers to discover system vulnerabilities. One of the more representative contributions of the Huawei Blue Army is the proposal of overpay of employee wages. So, will excessively high salaries really destroy Huawei? In 2016, the concept of employee salary overpay was first proposed by Huawei Blue Army. The Blue Army selected 4 companies in the communications industry for research: Huawei, Ericsson, Nokia, and ZTE. The results of the study found that from 2013 to 2015, Huawei's employee salaries also increased significantly, and the per capita salary increase was greater than that of Tencent and ZTE, while the per capita salaries of Ericsson and Nokia were at a declining level during the same period. Well, in fact, Huawei dividends are the key to stabilizing the morale of staff. Huawei, who is in predicament, can survive largely because of the unremitting struggle of Huawei people, and the root of this struggle is also derived from the top-level design of this team incentive system. When the company is in the most difficult time, what they are thinking about must be to help each other, not to abandon the employee to protect the company. Huawei is a private company 100% owned by its employees. Huawei implements a 100% employee stock ownership plan through the labor union. As of December 31, 2020, the number of employees participating in the employee stock ownership plan was 121,269, with an average share of over 400,000 yuan. Huawei's founder Ren Zhengfei also participated in this plan, and his total investment was equivalent to about 0.9% of the company's total share capital. In 2020, Huawei's expenditure on wage and other staff welfare reached 139.095 billion yuan. Based on 194,000 employees, the per capita salary of Huawei employees reached 706,000 yuan, which is approximately equal to $111,048. The three major China's domestic giants, Tencent, Ali, and Baidu, have a total profit of 58 billion, but 70% of them belong to the foreigners because of foreign participation. But Huawei is not. The US said, "As long as you are a Chinese company, I will not buy your equipment, but as long as you let Americans take stock, I will reduce tariffs for you." Huawei CEO Ren Zhengfei directly replied, "No." And this no makes Huawei lose tens of trillions. Therefore, Huawei is a 100% Chinese company with no foreign participation, and it is the only Fortune 500 company that has not been listed for money. Huawei is developing from a small and micro company with a registered capital of only 20,000 yuan to a multinational enterprise with more than 190,000 employees, which is largely due to the penetration and evolution of the employee stock ownership system throughout the development process. Huawei's so-called wolf culture or struggler culture also essentially stems from the sharing of wealth. In 1987, when Huawei was established as a private enterprise, it is said that the founder Ren Zhengfei had only 3,000 yuan, which is approximately equal to $472 at the time, and he had to attract some like-minded people to raise funds to maintain the operation of Huawei. Ren Zhengfei then proposed Huawei's employee stock ownership system, with the purpose of sharing responsibilities and interests with employees. In 1990, Huawei proposed employee stock ownership for the first time and implemented an employee stock ownership plan through the labor union. Since then, Huawei has implemented the reform of the equity incentive mechanism many times, and stock dividends have become an important source of employee income. It is stipulated that employees who have been employed for 1 year can spend money to purchase the company's stock. The amount that can be purchased is related to the rank. The purchase price at that time was set at 1 yuan, and even joint ventures established by Huawei and external companies were eligible to purchase. This system once triggered a wave of personal business loans within Huawei. A large number of employees borrowed from banks to pay for the purchase of company stock. Until 2010, Huawei's practice was stopped by the China Banking Regulatory Commission due to financial concerns. For Huawei, this approach is much better to solve the financial problem of not going public. Employees buy stocks to bring a lot of money to Huawei, and the company's annual dividends allow employees to enjoy the rewards of development. It is through this method of internal financing that Huawei achieved rapid business growth before 2000. Huawei's system of 1 yuan for 1 share continued until 2001. And internal shares held by employees began to be gradually replaced by virtual shares. Virtual shares enjoy dividend rights, but do not have voting rights, and are not the actual equity. However, as Huawei continues to grow and develop, the disadvantages of virtual shares have also emerged. A large number of Huawei's shares are in the hands of old employees. Even if they don't work hard, they can enjoy large dividends every year. This way of distribution of interests makes the vested interests lose their motivation to fight. Nowadays, Huawei has begun to implement a parallel incentive scheme for virtual shares and TUP, time unit plan. In 2019, under the pressure of US sanction, Huawei lost a lot of employees. The ESOP 1 plan, Employee Stock Ownership Plan, was implemented again internally. Like employee-owned stocks, they were purchased with the same money and participated in dividends every year. The difference is that after 5 years of employment, the stock can be retained. This decision is considered by the outside world to retain the talents. Huawei's equity incentive system has been continuously upgraded and fine-tuned during its evolution, which not only helps the company solve financing problems and tide over difficulties, but also plays a virtuous cycle of employee incentives. Well, thanks for your listening, and please be free to put your comments below and share your insightful ideas. See you.